Hi, and welcome to Religion, where we get real with religion. This is the second episode of Pop Culture with So. So yeah, as you guys know, because we put it on our story, or if you didn't see it, we had to skip Akam's episode last week for reasons. Um, I I'm posting later in the week, and we're gonna try to keep the later in the week schedule. It's been hard keeping a schedule because you know stuff is hard. We're kind of figuring it out as we go, but we promise we're getting there. We are getting there. Yeah, excuse the way I look. This is literally like I'm in pajamas. To be fair, it is the summer, so why not? Um, so yeah, new setup. This is my childhood room. I mean, it's been changed. It didn't look like this when I was a child, but basically, this is my room from before uni. So yeah, my little map. Sorry. Anyway, for today's segment, we're going to be talking about the His Dark Material trilogy, more well known, I think, as the Golden Compass books by, I think it's Philip Pullman. I'm gonna put the actual name and everything in the little bio of the video. Anyway, let's get on with it. I thought I'd do these books because, first of all, they're pop culture. I mean, they're media. They're contemporary media, so they fit into the theme, and I think they provide a very interesting and a very good outlook of like religion, in my opinion. So basically, as a little premise, careful, obviously, this is going to be full of spoilers. So if you do want to read the books without being read the books or maybe watch the show, there is a TV show if you're not that much of a book reader. His Dark Materials BBC TV show that goes over the span of the three books, which I would also definitely recommend. But yeah, if you're someone who doesn't like spoilers, careful. But if you don't mind, I will try not to spoil too much. But basically, the book is set in this like world where people have demons, which is this like animal companion that's kind of like part of their soul. And children's demons are never they don't have like one animal form. They kind of shift, and then at some point they settle into one specific form. So that's what happens. And basically this world is like ruled by the magisterium, which is this like religious entity, like religious institution, kind of like it is more reminiscent of the like Catholic Church than any other religion, I'd say, because they call each other like Father this and Father that, and it is very much like based on like the Bible, Adam and Eve, and all that. So yeah, the Catholic Church basically, who like rules this world, and so the main character in this is Lyra, this young woman who basically lives in this like lives in Oxford College, like she kind of like as a child her parents died and then her uncle brought her there, and she's just kind of been brought up there, like been brought up around books and scholars and such. And basically she's sent on this like adventure learning more about this thing called dust. And basically the way the church and not the church, the magisterium, sorry, the way the magisterium presents it, dust is evil, dust is what like is like what is basically it's evil. Like there's this line I think they like put from the Bible where like, oh, when Eve bites into the apple, she discovers good and dust, and so they see dust as like sin, evil, yada yada yada. And you see in the book that basically children are immune to dust. Dust does not cling to them. Meanwhile, it does to adults, and so it's this whole thing of like everyone saying that, oh well, that shows that like children are innocent and they're pure, blah 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 blah, and human like humans are just inherently like full of sin and yada yada, and people and like basically the magisterium does horrific things to like children to try and like get them to be dust free even as they grow up and such. And yeah, it's a whole book of like Lyra also like there's like world traveling, like multiple universes, there's like the multiverse and stuff. It's really fun. And like yeah, so they travel, she travels through like dimensions. She meets this other dude who's from our world basically, so our world is also in it, who's called Will. He doesn't have a demon obviously because he's from our world and we don't have demons, not that kind of demons at least. And basically they go on adventures and they learn more about dust, and there's even a scientist in there. I know this is a very, very weird summary, but just watch it or read it and you'll understand. There's also witches, which is so fun. Um, but yeah, so there's all of that, and basically in this whole thing, it's like it's kind of like the race for dust, and like everyone trying to understand dust and manipulate dust, and then in the end, dust is kind of revealed to be. I mean, to me, it's kind of still it's clear, but it's unclear what it is. Like in the end, it's kind of revealed that dust is like angels, it's consciousness, it's all of these like it's just what makes you it's just growing up basically. Dust is just the maturity and everything that comes with growing up. You are more conscious of the world around you, you understand things more, you change obviously as you grow up, and that is what dust is, like kind of that change in you, like consciousness. And obviously that's why adults have it a lot more than children. That's why their demon settles. It's because as you grow up, you become like one person. You are who you are. Meanwhile, as a child, you're still like a blank slate. And I really like that. Like it shows that the issue in the book was not with the religion itself. I mean, yes, there's also a thing where like they have to fight an angel because the angel took over from the creator, and like God basically, and like God isn't actually like in control, and it's this one angel who's like blah blah blah. Anyway, whole thing very interesting. But anyway, at the end of the day, like the religion itself is not the issue. Believing in like the story of Adam and Eve and everything is not the problem. It's the ones that misinterpret it and then use it to do like evil and hurt people, like in the name of God, of in the name basically of like religion. Doing horrible things is the issue, not the religion itself. And I really liked the way the book presented that as well, because like for example the scientist in there, she researches dust, it's a whole thing, but like she's an atheist, and then she sees and she's like, oh, okay, so this is like beyond science. And it's not that she like goes back to faith completely, but she doesn't stay an atheist. And like it's very, I like the way it's represented, that like you don't have to be like all the time, but you can also just like know that there's more out there. And again, the thing is that like dust and everything is not evil, like it's just the fact that you discover things that's good. Growing up is just discovering things, it's experimenting basically. Like a lot of things that seem like at some point, I think two of the characters like they kiss, and that's when the dust settles for them. And in a lot of religions, like you're not supposed to kiss, you're not supposed to this and this and this and that before marriage, like you're barely supposed to touch each other or else it's a sin. And it's like, this is does it have to be, is this something that actually corrupts your soul, or is this just something that we are scared of because it brings about so much more things, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think these books just have such an interesting outlook on like religion, and even story of Adam and Eve at the end of the day, because then it's like, oh, she went into the apple and she discovered good and dust, so she discovered good and consciousness and knowledge. And it's like the story of Adam and Eve doesn't have to be the, oh, Eve bit the apple and she condemned all of mankind to like work and yada yada yada, and we were like blissfully happy in the Garden of Eden. Because like at the end of the day, it is kind of a thing of like, yes, ignorance is bliss, but do we want to be ignorant? That's the thing. In the books, it's like knowledge is one of the most sacred things in that world. Like, even though the magisterium kind of goes against it at some point, because like that's not the knowledge that we want to teach and blah blah blah. Knowledge is so important. There's this thing called like scholastic sanctuary in that world. I don't know. Do we have that? I don't know. But where it's like, if you're like in a school and stuff, like completely protected, like the way like basically into like in our world, if you're like in a church or in a place of worship, the military is not supposed to enter that place. Obviously some people don't respect that, Israel, but you know that that's what it's supposed to be. And in that world they have the same thing with like knowledge and schools, which I find so truly amazing because it shows as well that like Eve did bite from the tree of knowledge at the end of the day. Like, if I remember right, if I'm not, please do let me know, but I'm pretty sure she bit from the tree of knowledge. And then she got the knowledge of the difference between good and evil, and like the fact that she was naked was like bad and stuff. And it's seen as this like big sin, the fall of mankind because of Eve. But is it really that bad at the end of the day? I mean, that is just my personal opinion, of course. Like, if you think that it's the end, that was like the original sin, I totally respect your opinion. I just think personally that there's something so like beautiful about the fact that yes, we had knowledge, and we didn't have knowledge, we were just there, and then bam, she bit that apple, knew about good and bad, and yes, that comes with a lot of hurt sometimes. Knowing and knowledge can be painful sometimes, but at the end of the day, to me, I think, as like me personally, I think knowledge is one of the most important things we have in the world, like in our world. And you know, what would we be without knowledge? Literally, where would we be? I mean, I think yes, some inventions have been like inherently bad in my opinion because they've brought on so much suffering and stuff. But if we had like no knowledge at all, where would we be in terms of everything? Just like even human contact, human, like, to be in a true relationship. In my opinion, you need to have knowledge of yourself, of others, of so many things. So yeah, I think the books really do show the importance in knowledge, and how important it is also to understand religious texts, but not just base yourself on them. Like the thing where they had like, oh, Eve knew good and dust, and they just said, oh, well, good, so dust has to be the opposite, it has to be evil. That's it, we stick by that, and now dust is evil, and we're gonna do like unspeakable things to get rid of it. No, that's not how it works, because then Lyra, who's like at the beginning of the book, she's like 11 or 12 or something, this like child who then like discovers and researches and thinks for herself, and then makes sense of dust and what it actually is. um so yeah, I really love these books, I think, because like they are very, there's something very like, in a very subtle way, like revolutionary about it, where like I don't think I've seen a lot of books where religion is portrayed in that way, where you take something that is so close, like so truly close to where we have now. Like, you don't have to interpret it as much. It's very close to like what we have now. It's basically copy and paste, and then just change some subtle things to show the world that, you know what, maybe the original sin could be a blessing in disguise, you know? um which I found so interesting. I think it's something that like people need to look into more. I think I would love to see a lot more books or just like literary essays or whatever, where people take religious texts, and of course with respect, always with respect, deconstruct them, think about the time they were written in, the language that was used, how you can interpret it completely differently from the way they're interpreted now. I think that is something that could offer the world so much peace of mind, but people are so scared to like step out of their comfort zone when it comes to religion. And I think that's something that we need to like work on as a society, to really pinpoint what makes us uncomfortable, work on it, and then try to like be better because of it, to learn more in a different way because of it. So yeah, and I really got all of that from the books, honestly, like, or from the show even, because I haven't read the books in a while, but I rewatched the show recently, and it really got me thinking, because I think it is such, it seems so inconspicuous, but reading it or watching it, it does hit you, it makes you think, even when you don't realize it. Which is just amazing. I think it's that kind of shows that like really get you, is the one where like the show really makes you think, it makes you reevaluate certain things. So yeah, I think I definitely recommend. Like I said, if you're not like a book reader, to be fair, I haven't read the books in a while, so I don't know if they're really that good. But the show was really good. Like I did appreciate it. So I definitely recommend. Um, I don't think I've spoiled too much actually. So I don't think I've spoiled anything at this point. Honestly, there's very little to be like that I've actually said that would like blow your mind. But I think you should definitely like watch the show. Lin Manuel's Miranda's in it, which is just fun. It's Lin Manuel Miranda. Um, so I definitely recommend. I think another point that I did want to touch on in the books as well is that it shows very much like through the use of like demons that people have internal turmoils, and like people don't always know how to interact with themselves and their discomfort, but that they can still change. And that's shown through one character specifically, which I'm not going to name, but I think you guys are going to guess if you watch it, where like seeing the way that person interacts with their demon and like the evolution of that relationship through the seasons and stuff, you really see where like the person will do something and the demon will like hesitate or not be in full accord and stuff, which I really like. And there's one character where it's seen like to the extreme, um because that character and their demon are almost never in like true accord. They never seem to really agree with each other. But I think it's seen in so many characters where like their demon and the person won't be in accord, and they're one soul at the end of the day, but still they won't always be in accord. And I think that's one thing that like also shows with the fact of like that it is like very much like demon, it like having their demons is like a religious thing as well. Like it's part of the religion at the end of the day. And like the fact that when the children, like when their demon settles, that's when dust starts to cling to them, is the fact that you see that as you grow up, like you not even as you grow up, you will still have internal turmoil. And sometimes turning like there's this thing like the golden compass where like the main character can like ask it questions and the dust will help her like give her an answer. And I think it's shows that sometimes when you have internal turmoil you can turn to religion to help, but it doesn't have to be like an institution. I think which the books like show very well is that like institutionalized religion is not always a good thing. Sometimes it can be very hurtful, but the fact that you can turn to something sometimes can be very good for you. Like even if you're not that religious, like as you guys know, like we've talked about this, I'm still like kind of unsure in like where I stand right now. But being able to turn to something helps with having a feeling of someone's out there, someone's listening, and even if they're not, just putting it all out helps. So yeah, I think like even when like sometimes I do have moments where I will just like sit in bed and just kind of have that moment of like not, I don't know, just have that moment, I guess. So yeah, and I think these books really show the nuances in like institutionalized religion versus like individual thinkers, the way education and knowledge is so important for it, and just how we don't always interpret text and stuff the way we should. Like it's not always seen as it should be seen. Sorry, my computer is totally out of charge. So this is gonna be it. I hope you guys liked it. If you ever want me to do like, if there's a specific like pop culture thing that you guys would want me to talk on, please tell me in the comments. DM me, DM the religion account, or even just like, I don't know, yeah, put it in the comments, like I said. Or if there's something that you want me to touch on more, like from what I've said here, that you want me to talk about more, I would love that. Um, so yeah, have a good week. Please like, comment, share, follow us definitely if you don't already. And yeah, thank you so much. Bye.